Hi, hi, hi. Hey, everyone. I know you all have not seen me in a few days, probably even a few weeks. I have just finished wrapping my final grant proposal of 2023. I have submitted all of my paperwork and I am wrapping up all the other things that need to be done for the company. So, for those of you who are seeing me for the first time, my name is Renee. My company is the East Africa Seaweed Company. Here we deal with exports and processing of mwani. So we have a trade name called Mwani Mama. So my story is I came to Tanzania over 4-year-old daughter. And we built an amazing space for the diaspora to return. And as I built this space, I found that there was sea moss coming on shore. So this sea moss, I have been able to use it as a social development tool, helping people to escape from poverty through trade of the sea moss. So I have been working strenuously to to get the word out about CMOS, to build relationships with trade, to build relationships with opportunities. So we also have a facility in Dar es Salaam. It's an African restaurant. You can Google it. And what we do there is we make Jamaican food, yes, but we also use it as distribution point for our CMOS. And so this is the final meeting for 2023 for investors. I have a limited amount of space, I have a limited amount of time. We are also processing our papers to go to next levels that I don't really want to discuss at this point. However, I am looking for serious investors to help us to bridge the gap between the grant and the demands of the business, right? Business like time waits on no man. Like dates and times have to be respected. And so I am looking for those who are ready to work with investing in a real company registered in Tanzania with the Tanzanian Investment Center certificate of incentives, which provides you certain protections, such as purchasing land, such as importing into Tanzania, such as the right to residency, such as mitigating in issues concerning your business and your company, which you will most likely need. The minimum required investment for the certificate of incentives is $500,000 US, and so it's not easy. It's not a light thing that I have, and so I have taken on the responsibility of working diligently to attract more investors through my company to Tanzania. Seaweed is a multi billion-dollar industry. We have access to the raw material, we have access to the farms, we have access to the local communities. If you go through my videos, I'm well respected and well recognized in the seaweed industry. However, in order to achieve certain things need to be done. So it's easier said than done when you don't have access to loans, you don't have access to capital, you're in a foreign country, you don't have access to the kind of things and the kind of resources that those people, you guys might have access to in the West. So I'm continuously working towards building relationships with investors overseas and in the diaspora and in Africa. So this evening we are hosting our final investors meeting at 7 p.m. Eastern time on December the 20th. Excuse me, December the 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you are looking to invest in a legitimate company doing legitimate things with a great future great prospects and great opportunities, this is what you are looking for. We need people who are ready to act and who are able to act as soon as possible, because we do have time limitations and time constraints on the things that we need to do, and we cannot just keep taking investors. There is a limited amount of time, there is a limited amount of people who we can accept for what we're looking to do. So please come to the meeting. Send me an email. My email address is exodusafrica1@gmail.com. And I know a lot of people are looking at this. Hold on, let me put this in here. Yes. Okay. So let me put my email address, exodusafrica1@gmail.com. Okay. So there are a lot of people who are looking to come to Africa, come to Tanzania. Yeah, that's correct. A lot of people are looking to come to Africa, come to Tanzania, have a good time, and then, they don't really necessarily see the people, see the resources, see the opportunities, see the things that can be done, see how they can be a part of, the growing economies on the continent. So I need people who have vision. I need people who have experience in business, and I need people who understand business jargon as well. And I need people who have experience, because I prefer to have people around me who know what I'm talking about when I start discussing certain aspects of the business, who can also share and provide input and insight. So I'm not just looking for dead money. I'm looking for smart money. I'm looking for money that is tied to a smart investor who has an idea of like what business like, what business channels we're in, what business silos, and where we are in the manufacturing and export process. So without, like, okay, we when I started out, I started looking at, okay, we're going to export our wild sea moss because we collect a nutrient dense sea moss that's tested against COVID-19. And a lot of people, know that COVID is coming back, and it's definitely a well tested sea moss. So I started looking at exporting that. And then the government said to me, well, why don't you help the farmers who are in the position, they're in a very disadvantaged position. So I went to the farms to see what the situation was with the farms. And what I discovered and realized is that there is extreme poverty surrounding seaweed farming and exploitation, and seaweed can be used as a social development tool. So I signed up immediately for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm one of the signatories to the UN SDG 8 for life below the water and women empowerment, because 99% of the seaweed farmers are women. Okay, so then I started looking at what would create the most impact for the farmers. And the most impact for the farmers comes down to processing, okay? Processing sea moss at a level that can boost the industry. So our company then now has a two-pronged process, which is, it was in our business plan, but I didn't realize how soon it would come to pass. So we have an export model, and we have a processing model, okay? And the export model, it serves our purposes if we just want to get out some CMOS. But in the export model, there is logistics that's required. There is warehousing in Tanzania, there's labor costs, there is overhead, there are a variety of things involved. I was supposed to get some funding this year that did not pan out. Okay. And so I am working the processing model, which is processing the gels, the CMOS into gels and jams, and it's through the processing model where the restaurant comes in. And someone might look at it and go, well, I don't get it. I don't understand. What does a restaurant have to do with CMOS? That's like saying to Disney World, well, I don't get it. Why would you want Walt Disney, why would you want a piece of land? What does that have to do with a cartoon mouse? Okay. So you need to have vision, you need to have insight, you need to have understanding of why these things are relevant. It is a way of meeting the public, it is a way of distributing, it's a way of putting out the content that you are producing. Because if we solely focus on the export model alone, there are many different layers of issues that can come up, right? And if we're only looking at plundering the natural resources of Tanzania without, impacting the impoverished communities and the people in poverty who depend on the CMOS, then we're only a part of the problem. We're not trying to break up the exploitation. We're not trying to affect any of the social issues surrounding CMOS. So I thought, with my knowledge, my skill, my know-how, my experience, my understanding of social impact, that I could use myself and my skills to elevate and to use seaweed as a fulcrum. So I have been saying this for over 2 years now, talking about the social development, talking about fair trade in seaweed, talking about opportunities for the diaspora to participate. I have been talking about the wealth behind seaweed, the amount of money that can be made. I've developed strategies. I've approached the government on places that we can farm so that we have a place that we can demonstrate the output. I have worked, created factory models. I've created a string of things that have to do with innovating the seaweed industry. And mountain, and I felt very alone because it seemed like no one understood or saw or comprehended what I was saying or what I was trying to do. And when I felt like, okay, maybe I'm early to market, right? And I'm gonna get emotional. So about me, let me just go into this early to market thing. Early to market, you will approach a thing called readiness. So whenever a company is early to market, it means you've come with innovation and ideas that the market is not prepared to accept because they do not have the technology, the knowledge, or the resources to understand where the market is going. Okay. So if I had this concept that I do have now on seaweed 10 years ago, my project would fail. If I had this project on seaweed 5 years ago, my project would fail. When I started in the market was not yet awake and not still asleep. They were just coming to the understanding of seaweed, the health benefits, the nutritional facts. Now, someone like me, who was born in Jamaica, where we call it Irish moss, that our grandparents, our parents, and our ancestors, everybody used. They use it for pregnant women, nursing mother, trying to get pregnant, stamina, trying to stay along in bed, trying to, cure your diabetes, all of these things. We have been using it generationally for multiple reasons, multiple things for healthcare. Okay. In Jamaica and the Caribbean at large, we come from, when they were capturing slaves, they didn't capture the ones who were just like, oh, fiani fiani. They took the medicine men, they took the warriors, they took the people who knew some stuff, they took those people and they extracted those people and they sent them off to the West Indies, to the Caribbean. When we got to the Caribbean, we realized that the environment is just as tropical as Africa. Okay. And on those plantations where they forced Black people to work, we don't have such things as doctors. There is no such thing as, oh, I'm going to go to the doctor, or my shit chop me, or, nail run up in my foot. I'm going to go to a doctor, or I want to have a baby. I'm going to go to a doctor to cure to cure my infertility, or, oh, I have vision problems. I'm going to go to a doctor. We don't have those things generationally. So we found the use of things that have been known to heal and cure. Something run up in our foot, we know how to use banana and kerosene to draw it out. Okay, we have infertility issues. We know how to use Irish moss and linseed and Gomorrah bitters. Somebody is having erectile issues. We know how to use strong back and all them something there. Somebody have high blood pressure. We know how to use soursop leaf, how many leaves, what time of the day. We know how to do those things. So herbalism is a natural part of my genetic makeup. And how wild it is that me, someone like me, I had infertility issues and I had to go back to Jamaica to use the Irish moss. I had a brain tumor and I used the Irish moss to heal me. And I used the Irish moss on my baby. That's what y'all call sea moss, but Jamaican people call it Irish moss. Okay? So growing up with that, knowing what that is for, when I set out in this, I knew that even if I had to lose that market, that I would not let it go, because it is not by accident. It's not by chance. It's not by just some whim. Oh, just so weird that this lady that had these issues and UC just so happens to be in Tanzania and found it coming to her beach. Oh, okay. That's not coincidence. That's God. So I have to lean in all the way and step in with both feet and both hands and all of my resources to use my knowledge, skills, and wherewithal, my knowledge of international trade and wherewithal in this industry, full force, no half stepping. Okay? And I'm going to tell you why it bites me. Because this thing, early to market, I had a company before this. I had a technology company. I had developed an app for trading with Africa. It was Proudly. And I was early to market. I took it to China. I won plug and play Beijing. I won plug and play Suzhou, Shanghai, and Zhengzhou in China. I was issued a China's business class visa back in Jamaica to continue to do trade. I used Jamaica as the testing point to see if this market would work. I was invited to the United Nations Global E-commerce Week to deliver the paper on African readiness or readiness in the developing countries in technology. I was early to market, very early, and I didn't realize how early I was when I came to Africa, understanding that technology is not necessarily on the forefront of how trade is conducted. First of all, you need to have certain basic things in place, such as in the United States, where someone says, okay, I need to purchase 1 ton of corn. And the farmer sends the corn knowing that the payment is coming. And maybe the person who is reselling the corn, it has to get that purchase order in and has to wait on that payment from the buyer before he can pay the farmers. And that is how an industry grows. Now, if we put that in a platform context, in the form of technology, what will happen is so the farmer buys, he would pay his money, and then the purchase order is released, and then from that purchase order he can trickle down to the farmer. Now in Africa, it translates differently, especially in Swahili culture. If you want that 1 ton of corn, you have to physically go to the farm or have someone who can physically go to the farm to make sure that they give you that 1 ton of corn. Okay? You have to also go to you with your scale to make sure that what they're sending is 1 ton of corn. You also need to see to make sure you're getting 1 ton of corn and not 1 ton of rice. You have to also have that money cash front up front. No purchase order is going to get that corn out of that village. You need to go with that cash, and you need to go with your own transportation. So when it comes to the logistics of e-commerce, there is a lack of readiness. And that was what my paper was on, that I had to deliver to Jack Ma in Geneva, Switzerland in 2017, or was it 2018? 2017. Okay, so I was early, very early, and I spent a lot of money and a lot of time researching. The time I spent in China, I studied the Chinese customs and quarantine system. So knowing how to logistically get a trailer into China of products, what products have the lowest threshold to resistance in China, what products have the highest threshold to resistance in China, what products have the opportunity to reach the market, what is the strategy to actually enter into the market. Let's say you have a small order, or how to even meet the buyers, and you can't necessarily fill a container to go to China. There, I developed a strategy for that. Okay, but I was early to market. In this seaweed industry on the African continent, I am not early. I am just at sunrise, meaning the market is only going to continue to increase. Now the World Bank has come because they recognize the exact same things I have been saying from an economic marker, is that seaweed answers the problems. It answers the problems when it comes to meat alternatives. It answers the problems when it comes to a nutraceutical. It answers the problem when it comes to alternative care. It answers many problems when it comes to a social development tool. It answers the problem with poverty in remote coastal villages. Excuse me, let me go over that again. It answers the problems in remote coastal villages. In which the seaweed is grown, they are supported usually by the World Wildlife Fund, because if they do not have access to trade and opportunities, they will overuse the resources, killing the whale sharks, over consuming on the dolphins, catching and eating anything that they can, because they're in these remote villages and they don't have access to anything else. Seaweed works as a social development tool that prevents that kind of overuse of resources and also uplifts those remote villages, right? So with this company that I've set up, when I set it up, as hard as it was, as costly as it was, as the amount of stress that it cost me to be here in Tanzania, I am not going to let it go. I am not early to market. I am right on time. I am probably just at dawn, where people are now becoming more aware. And as people become more aware, then the market will heat up. So we have a two-prong approach. We have the export and we have the processing. Okay. On the processing front, we have been processing for consumption for almost a year now, out of Wanimama Masaki. Okay. But that isn't going for long enough to sustain itself. Okay. We have processing, and on that processing channel, what I have designed is a way by which other people can take that Mwani Mama concept and bring it to their village, bring it to other places, by which they're able to start selling in its process form. Okay, so CMOS has multiple layers. It has multiple layers. You can process it as high as you want to its finished product that has no nutrition in carrageenan, or you can process it with low impact processing. And that's where we are. We're at low impact processing for at the Mwani Mama restaurant. Okay. Now, the idea behind the Mwani Mama restaurant is, number one, because the Tanzania Bureau of Standard, and because the Tanzania, no one has any kind of standardization for seaweed processing. Okay. And I'm going to say unfortunately, but I am it. This company is the standard for seaweed processing, because we don't have any kind of textbook documentation to say this is how you process seaweed for public consumption. This is how you process seaweed to go into the supermarkets. This is how you process seaweed for mass market consumption. So through the Mwani Mama restaurants, we are able to get certain kind of documentation that we would have if we were doing a factory. Because if we had a factory, we would not get the certifications that we need in order to be able to distribute into the supermarkets. Now, why am I looking so closely at Tanzania for the finished goods? Because yes, in order to process the good, to finish a manufactured product, to send it out to the United States, you need to have the FDA. Once it's past a certain level of processing, you need to have Food and Drug Administration. And for that Food and Drug Administration document, you need to have the TBS document from the country of origin. Okay, so those are some of the challenges that we're facing. However, through a restaurant chain, we're able to get the same kind of standardization for cleanliness and health in a clean environment that we would. So now we have these restaurants by which we can process the CMOS through. We can make the drinks, the jams, and the smoothies, and additionally, we distribute to the other restaurants and cafes and other places that are around us. Now, you might think like, oh, they ain't got no money in Africa. There is money here, and the market is heating up. I invite anybody to look at my Instagram page. It's Mwani Mama Masaki. I invite anyone to look at even my messages, because the demand for the CMOS and the processed gels are there. However, because I had illness earlier this year and I had to use that CMOS myself and pull myself together, we have not been functioning at the restaurant for about 2 months, because our staff needs to be micromanaged and supervised. Unfortunately, in Tanzania, that is a real thing. So we are looking to restart and continue I had to take a step back for my healing to focus also on my family, my wellness, what I'm trying to accomplish with this. I had to take a step back to also focus on my grant preparation and my year-end wrap-up. So at this point, we have our restaurant and the investment that I've put in there, over 62,000 US dollars, to set up and operate that facility. So what we're looking to do is restart that. Okay. Unfortunately, the people who have invested in the company, none of them are here. I am the only one here who is the man on the ground and doing the work. And it was extremely taxing and challenging on my health to go through construction, and then from construction turn right around. I ended construction on the 20th of May and opened the restaurant on the 26th of May, which is like suicide. And it caught up with me in August, and it took me down deep. So I had to continue, so that from August, let me see, August, September, October. So we haven't been in operation since approximately waits for time waits for no one. And all the payments, everything in the restaurant has been done, but there is a cycle on which you have to, like, okay, I got to get going again because the next rent cycle might be due. Okay. And so with that concept of facing the distribution of wells and the drinks, the restaurant serves its purpose for visibility and recognition. Okay? In a market where people are telling you they don't want your product, your CMOS, in their supermarket because they've never heard of it. They don't want it because you have no TBS certification. They don't want your product in their supermarket because they don't know or they've never heard of it. Okay. So when it comes down to the distribution for the mass consumption of the CMOS, the restaurant concept is it. Now, did I want a restaurant? No, because restaurants are taxing. However, for a distribution channel, and having light food like some patties and jerk chicken, yes, that can be done within my limitations. Okay, so I'm looking for serious people who have contacted me, people who have come to Tanzania to say yes, and it's very difficult for people to say, oh, I'll invest when I come. Oh, I'll invest when I go back. And then they go back, and it's just like, how do you run a business that has rent, light, employees, taxes, responsibilities? It is not possible to run any business like that at all. So if people are looking or serious about investing, and you say you are serious, and you can see the benefits and you can see the opportunity, by all means, we have the documentation, we have the paperwork. I can provide anything for anyone to go and do research. We have dates and times that we have to process paperwork for our taxes. We have dates and times that we have to process paperwork for renewals. So we don't have the luxury of time of waiting for for waiting for someone. Like when we started the company and we had to get the certificate of incentives, without the certificate of incentives, we can't get our tax compliance certificate. Without the certificate of incentives, we can't get our export license, our collection license. We can't get something like 13 other pieces of paperwork without that one piece of paperwork. And so I had a date. Like, listen, if you are going to invest, you must invest by this date, because we cannot move forward without that piece of documentation. And so a lot of people were upset, like, why can't you wait till I come? Why can't you wait to no, we can't hold up a business with other investors so you can, lollygag, because in the meetings I provide all of the paperwork, all of the documentation. So kudos to those investors who are overseas, who looked at what I was doing and trusted me to do what I said I would do. Okay? And that plays a lot in my mind, in my performance, because people trust me with their money. That's not easy to get. So everything that I have said that I would do, I have done. We needed packaging. When investors sent that money, we got the packaging. I sat here in this room and it took me 6 weeks to design the packaging and get the nutritional content. We had to get the expiration date scanner. I bought, or I invested in that. We had to, every money that anyone has sent to me, Oh, sorry about that. Right. So, thank you for those of you who have tuned in to, hear what I had to say. So, like I said earlier, right, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You can process CMOS to the highest level or to as low as you would like to process it. So we have a processing as well as an export model. The processing and export model has been fruitful. The processing model allows us to meet the middle income economy in Tanzania. Okay, so there is resources here. There are people here who want the Mwani, who want the CMOS. So everything cannot be for the export market. In order for us to meet the export market, we are required to have certain things. We need to have warehousing, we need to have labor, we need to have facilities, as I discussed before. And so I had expected some funding through USAID that did not pan out. Earlier this year, they had changed their model to now accept companies who are looking for they want companies who are 100% African owned and led, and they changed that during our process, during our model. Okay, so that leads me to where we are today. Where we are today, we're in between picking up our funding and reopening the Mwani Mama CMOS Cafe. Okay, and it was very important to take some time to step back from that, because in order to do the things that needed to be done for 2024, I needed to be able to take that step back. And so what I was saying earlier was kudos to the investors who saw the opportunity and got on it early and have been supportive I used it to do what I said I would do, right? And that is very important when it comes to doing business in Africa and doing business for the diaspora. Want you to fund projects, but have not registered anything. They want you to fund their ideas in Africa here, but they have not used what the little they had to show you how that idea would go out into the world. They have not, demonstrated that they are good stewards of the monies that come to them. And I think I have gone above and beyond and put my own 2 cents and my own energy and my own time into demonstrating that I am a trustworthy steward of investments. So anyone who has invested in the company saw the opportunity from overseas, haven't been to Tanzania yet, but they have invested in the company. I genuinely appreciate all of you, because I see where we are going. There is a lot of people who get lost in the sauce, and they descend into confusion because they don't understand the business process. Okay, a lot of people not necessarily um have business experience and in their background. So there are a lot of people out there who are lost and like, what is she doing, what is she saying about the CMOS? I don't know. But for those of you who would like the knowledge, the insight, and the know-how, and trying to get to a level where you can invest and live and work in Tanzania, please, not just Tanzania, but also East Africa, please go ahead and email for the next meeting. Okay, so our next meeting is going to be held this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, let's see. Let me just wait. Hold on. I did put up my email address already. Right. So this is my email address for anyone who would like to invest, who would like to open the conversation. We do have time limits on which we need to do the things that we need to do. You know, it has been a whirlwind of an experience, but I'm not giving up. As I said earlier, I was early, very early to market with other projects. I have done tremendous amount of things, but I'm not early with the CMOS. And I'm not early with the concepts that I've designed. I am not early with the ideas and the products. I am not early to market. I am just right at the beginning. And so as the market heats up, the profits will also continue to heat up. For those of you who are looking to participate and invest, please go ahead and send me an email. Like I said, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry and a multi-million-dollar opportunity. And I think I have said as much as I want to say on camera. Okay, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm sorry about that little break in between right there. Okay, so go ahead and send me an email. And we will continue this at the meeting. Bye-bye.